Good morning. Welcome to Morning Coffee. So, we got a few things to get into today, but we're going to keep the thing brief. First, we're going to start off by talking about the Diddy trial, which, by the way, is coming to an end. And I feel like we bonded so much over the Diddy trial that I can't believe that this is the point that it's coming to. But the Diddy trial is wrapping up. Closing arguments started yesterday. So, the prosecution team started their closing arguments yesterday in the courtroom for the jury to hear. And a large part of the prosecution team started their closing arguments for the jury to hear. And a large part of their closing arguments was specifically about what qualified for each charge. So, what they needed to get Diddy on sex trafficking, what they needed to get him on the Mann Act, what they need to get him on a RICO charge. And a lot of it is kind of, it seems simple, but I'm sure the jury has a lot that they need to consider. So, for example, on the Mann Act, they're saying that it's as simple as him paying for transportation of prostitutes across state lines to engage in sex. Like, they are trying to put it very plainly for the jury so that they know, like, you have an easy conviction here. Now, the problem with some of this is that, especially with the Mann Act, is that they're going to continue to say that the male escorts and Diddy are saying that they paid these men for their time and their discretion and not for sex, though they had sex. So the prosecution team is just trying to continue to paint a picture that the money was actually offered for sex. It wasn't offered for their time and their discretion. Now, the prosecution team also let the jury know that they only need 2 predicate crimes to charge Diddy with a RICO. And it's very clear that he had other people organizing and working with him to organize things. And just to clarify from before, the prosecution team did not drop charges against him. What they did was they made it clear, they took away some of the requirements, or like they made it clear what the requirements are and some of the predicates in order to charge him. So some of the things that they didn't believe that they were able to get him on, they just removed them from the predicates for the jury to have to look through, and gave them all of the things that they think they can land the case on. Now, the defense team is making their closing arguments today. They are going to be telling us whether or not why he shouldn't be convicted, and how the prosecution team did not make their case, which is why the defense team is saying that they didn't bring any witnesses, because they're saying they didn't need to, that the case wasn't made. Now, my prediction on the Diddy trial. Here's my prediction. My prediction on the Diddy trial is that he will be found guilty of some, but not all. I think the Mann Act it feels like one that is clear he is going to get charged with, the bringing escorts across state lines for the purposes of sex. Now, the RICO is a little bit hard, and if they do find him guilty of the RICO, I think it'll come with a lesser sentence. So I don't think that he's going to spend that much time in prison like people think he is. I think he'll get some time, but I also think that there's a likely world where he'll get time served if he's just charged with the Mann Act. Although I will say R. Kelly was charged with the Mann Act and all of those things and got 30 years. So we'll see. But I have somewhat of a feeling that I don't think that he's going to spend that much time in jail. That's just my opinion. Also, y'all can expect to see me on TMZ today. I am going on TMZ. They asked me to come up. I'm going to be on there talking about some aspect of Diddy. I'm not exactly sure what yet, so make sure y'all tune into TMZ if y'all are home or y'all can watch it. But I will be on TMZ later today talking about the Diddy trial. I'm waiting for them to tell me exactly what part of the Diddy trial I'll be talking about. But stay tuned. If you want to see me on TMZ, I'll also make sure I post it after. I also want to say that his whole family showed up in court today. His daughters showed up and they look beautiful. And yeah, I'm questioning how this will impact them and how it has already impacted them. The next thing is that King Combs fired some shots at us, the people. And yes, you heard me correctly. King Combs fired shots at us, the people, on this new project that him and Kanye West are doing to support Diddy. And so on one of the songs, he says, hold on. He says, people like me, my father's a hustler. It's not my fault your dad's poor. I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out why we catching strays. I'm trying to figure out why we catching strays. We minding our business. Listen. I didn't. Your daddy was the one committing sex crimes and RICOs. Why are you trying to shade my father? Okay, I don't understand what the beef is about. But whatever. I guess my father. You right. You ate that one a little bit. But my father ain't going to jail. So fine. Maybe he is poor, but he ain't going to jail. Also, I think this is the same song from before, but Northwest is on one of the songs with Kanye West and King Combs called Lonely Roads, which I think is what Kim Kardashian had a problem with, and I would have a problem with too, because why would you have my child on a song supporting a man who is on trial for RICO, racketeering, sex trafficking? Like, what would make you put my child on anything that involves somebody like that? And she's so young. You're tarnishing her name already. And again, we know Kanye West is outlandish. I don't think he's crazy. And I, again, think this is all because Kanye West knows what he's done as well. And he knows that he very well could be going down, and that Diddy is not above bringing anybody else down. So that's just that. That is what it is to me. So there's that on the Diddy trials. I'll keep you posted. The defense team is presenting their case today. Let's see what they come up with. But then after this is all done, the jury will be left to deliberate. I don't think it'll start today. I think it'll start next week. And I think they will come up with a decision as soon as end of next week. So y'all stay locked in. Another thing that has happened is that DDG has been given the approval. He has been granted approval to go and visit Halo in Italy. So for those of you who have been following the case and listening to me talk about the case, and not the DDG obsessors, please, I don't want to talk to y'all because y'all are insufferable. But DDG requested from the judge that he be able to go and visit Halo while Halo is in Italy with Halle filming for her show. DDG has been granted the request to visit his son on July 1st through the 3rd of July. But here are the conditions for his visit. Visitation hours are from 9 to 6 p.m. daily. Haley's team originally proposed 12 to 6, but he got 9 to 6. And I believe the judge gave him 9 to 6 because he is going to, that's when Haley's probably working. They are going to be supervised by Haley's nanny and her security. So Haley's nanny and security are going to be the ones supervising the visit. Because remember, the judge said that she thought that the visits were a reasonable request, but they needed to be supervised by a third party. And originally, LMNOP DVD asked for his mama to be the one to do it, but they said no because his mom encourages the abuse, and so they asked for a third party. Halle's lawyers raised the concern that the nanny felt unsafe, which is what prompted for the security to be there. There will be no overnights allowed. No overnights allowed. Okay. DDG can't take Halo more than 3 miles from the hotel. Can't leave more than 3 miles. You got to stay within a 3-mile radius. He must stay near Halle's hotel in Italy, so he has to be close to Halle's hotel. And no social media posts of Halo by DDG. So he cannot stream with Halo while he's out there. I also don't think that he can talk about anything going on with Halo and Halle. Now, let me say this. I don't know. I'm not in the courtroom, but there's obviously a reason why they are putting so many parameters around how he can see his son. Whether or not you agree with it or think that it's not fair, there's something that we're not privy to that will come out later when they are finished with their court case. But if the judge didn't feel like this was a safety risk, they would allow him to go and see his child freely without stipulation. You know what I mean? But the fact that they're putting this much red tape around this situation tells us that there's more than meets the eye. And I think because Halle right now is filming her show in Italy, we're not getting all of the information from what is coming out of the court case, but it sounds like there's something else to that, because a judge wouldn't just tell you that you can't see your child without being supervised by a nanny and a security guard. Like, that's extreme. Even in situations where there are restraining orders, and again, I'm telling y'all this from experience, having worked with people who have experienced family court or having to go with family court with clients, they do not just say things like that. Like, they will say, here's what visiting looks like. You can take your baby, you all just can't be around each other. That's usually what it looks like when there is a DV situation or whatever it is. But the fact that they're putting this much red tape around him seeing his kid says that they believe that he's a flight risk, that he's dangerous. There's something more to it. Now, I also want to say that if you remember, he petitioned for Hallie not to have sole custody of the kid and be able to take him to Italy. And that was granted by the judge. She has temporary sole custody, and she was allowed to bring him to Italy. So the judge is seeing something that we haven't quite heard of yet. You get what I'm saying? So there's something there. Thank you for the lawyer's perspective. There's something there that the judge has not told us yet, or that the media hasn't found out about yet, that makes them question whether or not he should be able to be alone with his child. And until they figure that out, this is where we're going to see this continue to happen. But listen, I don't want anyone to get the wrong message and think that I'm saying that I'm in favor of people not seeing their kids, because I already know how the LMNOP people get. But I think people should be allowed to see their kids. And I also don't think, listen, I've said this from working in foster care a lot of my career. I have never met a parent who does not love their child. I have met parents who don't care for their child and don't have the ability to care for their kid. So I'm not saying that nobody don't love their kid. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that there's more to this story. And what we've seen of DDG so far hasn't really been helpful for him, because you haven't fought hard enough as somebody who doesn't think that your rights are, if you thought your rights were being taken advantage of and you weren't getting what you're supposed to get in a situation, you would have stepped back and said that. And you would have been fighting for it from day one. The fact that he waited almost a month to even put in a petition, and he waited until Hallie was leaving to Italy after she was granted sole custody, there's something to be said about that. And whether or not you agree with it is your opinion. But if someone felt like their rights were being violated, you should have been stepped in. You should have been tried to get your kid. You should have been done all those things. And in my personal opinion, he just didn't. So, you know what I'm saying? I can't be mad at Hallie for doing what she's supposed to do for her kid. And I wouldn't be mad if he did what he did was for his kid. And maybe he would have gotten a different response had he really locked in earlier and really fought for his kid and showed the judge that he cared. But if a judge feels like you don't care and you're not showing enough effort and the evidence is piled up against you, which it was, that's how the cookie crumbles. That's how the cookie crumbles. So that's that. And I personally agree that it was never about Halo. This was about Hallie. He still wanted to be with her. She didn't want to be with him. That's my personal opinion. Take what you want from it, because I know how y'all feel about my personal opinion. But that's just my personal opinion. Moving on from DDG before his fans show up. The quick announcement that I have that I'm so excited for. Can I get a drum roll, please? Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Remember how I told y'all that I started my LLC, which was a Black professional consulting agency? Well, I'm excited to announce that I am publishing my first journal specifically for Black professionals. So my LLC is called BLeadership LLC. That's Black leadership. And it's in support of Black professionals and wanting Black professionals to thrive. And I have officially created a journal for Black professionals to be able to go through a process of healing, connecting with ancestors, and finding space to take care of yourself in the midst of the chaos while working in professional spaces, because we know how hard it is as Black folks. I am waiting for the finalization of it to be available on Amazon, so I will share it with you all. It's a very short 6-week journal for you to go through and track your thoughts and your feelings and really like connect with yourself and see where you are as a professional, how you show up as a professional, and to be able to, take a moment for yourself as a professional. So it'll be available electronically, and it will be available in Amazon for you to buy the paperback. Once it is complete and it is available, I'm going to share with you all. I hope that folks will lock in and buy it. And a preview to my next project that I'm going to be working on that is connected to this is that I'm going to be starting a journal for non-Black people to be able to track how they're being anti-oppressive to their coworkers, Black coworkers. So for folks who are non-Black, I also want you to lock in because we're trying to start a trend of being non-oppressive, and we're looking at DEI holistically, where we don't put the responsibility of white folks learning on Black people. So most times in a lot of DEI spaces, Black people are sitting there thinking to themselves, I know all of this. Why am I thinking this? Why do I have to go through this? And so we are going to have a space for white folks to be able to do their own reflection that doesn't put the burden or the weight on Black people, and that Black people don't have to sit around and listen to it and go through all of the process, but you'll be able to do your own reflection and figure out how to be the most supportive, non-oppressive colleague that you can be. So that'll be coming out later, but y'all know I had to start with my Black folks. And so lock in, twin. I will share the information with y'all, where y'all can purchase it and where y'all can lock in. I also look forward to y'all purchasing it and sharing y'all reviews with me candidly so that I know if it works. I'm going to be selling it to other businesses. I already have some people reaching out about it, so I'm really excited. And I'll keep y'all posted, but I wanted y'all to hear it from me first. So lock in. And yeah, thanks for the congratulations. I love y'all. Stay tuned.